Hey, you crazy cats! 42's live streams and videos are simply not available on vinyl. You will have to go to the YouTubes for that. So if you want content about British traditions and culture, cutting edge social commentary from an unapologetically patriotic perspective, along with a side order of madness you simply will not find anywhere else, then this is the place for you. And to all those early adapters in the chat, don't forget to hit the notification bell. That's how you get the good stuff and make sure you never miss a tasty treat. So with that being said and done, squeeze yourself in. Let's get into it. You know you want to. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Please delete as applicable because the internet is worldwide and time zones are indeed still a thing. Can I get a wee audio check in the chat, please? And I will say some hellos. First of all, first in tonight, although you don't get points for that in this channel, it's somewhere else. But first in was Al Mac. What about your brother? Hope everything's going well. And second then was the Budgie Burger, who just scroll back and read his comments. I'm not going to attempt to go through this. I'm not going to read them because I can't do them justice, but they're funny as fuck. I love it. I absolutely love it, Budgie. Good work. Who else have we got in? As I'm scrolling down. Bass is in. What about you, sir? My wonderful Emma G. Evening, sexy. Anglo-Saxon, what about you, brother? Glad to see you here. Pack is in. What about you? What about your brother? Hope all's well with you and yours. I'm getting told the audio's good, so that's good. Eleanor Ramsey, welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. Thanks for dropping by. And that is us up to date with the comments at the minute and the hellos. Anybody particularly wants to shout out, just I do quite like the kitten intro. I do, I must say. I thought that was one of my better ideas. Mr. Herbert, Rory, what about you, Sean? Got that email from you today. I'm not sure when you sent it, but I seen it today. And I watched the clip of watched the video of the pike man. Really interesting stuff. Oh, yes. That is coming. There is a shout out coming for Emma G's veggies or planting, which is going very well. But I don't want to give too much away. Let's see. I need some liquid already. And I'm getting all confused now. Right. Where was it? Yes. Oh, there's a Spanish checking in. What about the Spanish? Glad to have you aboard. Oh, yes. I'm not going to give it away, but yes, they're MG's doing good stuff with veggies and stuff. But before that, I'm going to do some housekeeping. You'll have noticed Bonnie Lad wasn't streaming tonight, so Sansom wasn't streaming. Normally, I get all my housekeeping via Sansom. So don't really have any this week that I'm sure of. Well, here's the gist of it. You got me tonight. Tomorrow night, Rags is going to do a stream with Jack and a guest of some description on the laws of probability. Well, I wouldn't say he's let the side down because Sanson's been really excellent with keeping this whole housekeeping and shout outs together for a very long time. We will see what happens going forward. But yes, I could be pretty sure that tomorrow evening at I think it's 8 o'clock Rags goes. he'll do a stream with Jack and a guest of some sort. John Davison, I believe, will be Tuesday and Friday. That's the schedule he's been doing. Generally a nice, interesting stream. Good people in the chat, good crack. I have no idea what's Ansem's doing during the week, whether there's a stream with Toffee and DJ. Maybe so, maybe not. Keep your eyes out. Want to give a shout out to Courage is a Cure if you want the worldwide lowdown on what's going on in the world of woke. Oh, you'll get that there. And yes, the Waffle House. Here we go with the Waffle House. Dave's Waffle House streams at 8:30 every weeknight. It is total and utter sham and madness. And it's a really good place to just relax and chill out with a bunch of nice people in a friendly chat. It's not political. It's not that. There's nothing heavy. But it is hellish good fun. And the other one that we're going to have a shout out for, also getting this into the chat. So I organize this. This is Emma G's channel. Anybody that wants to subscribe to Emma G, subscribe over there. And I'm going to. This is where I make a mess and get up the wrong video. Yep. This is it. Although the sound is off. Ah, crap. Because this is short, you can't just put it back to start. So here we go. We'll get some Emma G planting up now. You might see some of this twice. There'll be strawberries. There's some really good pictures of the little strawberries that are coming along. These white flowers around the outside, they drop off, and the green bit beneath it becomes the strawberry bit the green bit of the strawberry you pluck off before you have some lovely strawberries. So Emma G is actually growing these things in her garden. It's fucking amazing. You watch the whole thing now. Oh, and the cracking cool dog at the end. Her photo of 42 in the shades. Packet, that is brutal, but brilliant. I love it. Spanish chickens like the strawberries, and people have subbed. Almac subbed. Eleanor subbed. Thank you very much, people. And yep, Dave's Waffle House is lurking with his dribble. Oh, she hasn't grown anything for the barbecue, but she is talking about she's talking about various meats and foods and stuff to get for the barbecue. That is very much in the mind. Uh, yeah, we are, and we are very much looking forward to that. Yes. Oh, you're very welcome, Mama. Right now, I think that is all of that stuff done, and we're going to begin with our first bit of content. Uh, what I'm talking about this week is the Midlands Uprising of 1607, which uh, also known as the Riots, also known as the Rebellion. I had never heard of this uh, like a week ago, and whenever I seen it and I started looking into it, I thought this needs covered. So that's why I'm delving into it. This is true. We may have a couple of strawberries ready. Oh yes, that would be good. So, holy Emma G, have you ever grown parsnips? I was round at my daughter's house today, and what she planted 6 weeks ago is now 3 foot tall. Holy fuck! Like that's a year's worth of parsnip in 6 weeks. Although the way things are going with the economy and stuff, if you can grow it like that, people's going to have to get pretty used with it. This is also very true. You're working away there, making your getting your wee plants to grow and getting everything all ship shape, and you do. It is very therapeutic. No. So then whenever I started to look into this uprising and the riots and what's behind it, I'm guessing there must be a reason why this story is kept very quiet. Uh, it also makes me aware of uh, the disjointed way in which British history, is taught to British children. And let's face it, we get the average person gets their history lessons in school and whatnot, and doesn't really pursue it much further. Uh, or we at, or we at least think that we have an idea, at least, of the names of the important events, but there's a lot of it's just not talked about. So these riots were caused because of changes to the way people got access to land for farming, agriculture, and business, and the laws that uh, allowed these changes were called uh, the Inclusion of Land Act, and we're going to have a look at those. Get that up there. Hold on. And this is from the UK Parliament, so we know we're not getting bullshit. And I want to just check the chats. Our Storm Brennan is in from down under. Welcome aboard. Parkgate's on about Brendan Hughes. What did Brendan Hughes? I think I was just a random Brendan Hughes. So, yeah. Not a very nice man. He was a legend. Right. Okay. Right. So we're going to get into this Inclusion of Land Act, and I think I'm going to zoom this in just a little. Right. UK Parliament, the Enclosure Act. In medieval times, farming was based on large fields, known as open fields, in which individual yeomen or tenant farmers cultivated scattered strips of land. From as early as the 12th century, however, agricultural land was enclosed. This meant that holdings were consolidated into individually owned or rented fields. Usually, it was seen as a more economical way of farming and became increasingly common during the Tudor period. 1 second, I cough. Hmm. Right, so what's happening here is they're changing. They're This is how back it goes, where they're starting to change access to land. They're trying to squeeze the farm land tighter together and leave the rest of it not the same. And we're starting in like the 12th century. It's when this is starting. Originally, enclosures of land took place through informal agreement, but during the 17th century, the practice developed of authority obtaining author, authoritarian act of parliament. And I should have, right, I butchered that word. I'm fucking not going to get it. I'm just moving on. Sorry. It means very bossy. Initiatives to enclose came from either from landowners hoping to maximise rentals from their estates or from tenant farmers anxious to improve their farms. So sometimes a farmer could gain out of this, sometimes a tenant. Uh, from the 1750s, enclosure by Parliamentary Act became the norm. Overall, between 1604 and 1914, over 2,500 enclosure bills were enacted by Parliament, which related to just over a fifth of the total area of England, amounting to some 6.8 million acres. So this practice of telling farmers that they have to mess about and change their fields went on until 1914, and some might say that it hasn't really stopped. There's little doubt that the enclosures greatly improved the agricultural productivity from farms from the late 18th century by bringing more land into effective agricultural use. It also brought considerable change to the local landscape. That it would. You start fucking about with the land, then you start fucking about with the landscape. It's one follows the other. Where, where there were once large communal open fields, land was now hedged and fenced off, and old boundaries disappeared. But the historians remain divided over the extent to which the enclosure forced those at the lowest end of rural society, the agricultural labourers, to leave the land permanently and seek work in towns. So what they're doing is they are changing the way the farming works. Because they've changed how the farming works, they've changed the need for farm labourers. And because the farm labourers are out of work, they're now moving into the towns, cities, and seeking industrial occupation, which is what they need, because what's coming about to be coming on strong is the industrial revolution, and they need people for that. I'm going to close that, and I'm going to have a quick look at the chat. I agree with that. Spanish chicken. The Woodlander does indeed have a plan to get this land back. It was at the very start. Oh, uh, it seems I have missed Mother's Day. Uh, I'll address that now that I've seen the comments. Yes, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. I hope you all have it. Well, that's why I haven't missed Mother's Day. Mother's Day is whenever I wake up tomorrow morning because that's on a Sunday. It's Mother and Sunday. 42 absolute flipping ninny. Right. Now we can say it again. Say it again. Well, with the exception of Dawn and Linda, if she arrived from down under, that have had their Mother's Day, I believe, because they're ahead of us. And oh, it, someone was speechless. Oh, Mother's Day, Australia, right? I there's an American Mother's Day, an Australian Mother's Day, and a UK Mother's Day. Might be helpful if we all put them on the one day, uh, but they all just deserve their day. And I hope it. Fuck it. I just hope everybody has a lovely Sunday. There you go. I have. That's just all. Why is did I forget to actually share the screen? No, I've closed the tab. That's what I've done. Right. You flipping lunatic. No, I haven't even put the fucking thing up. Right. So we'll get into the actual Midlands Revolt itself. Oh, sorry. I have been a little bit tech non-savvy this evening. Right. I'm going to get the shirt on and then I'll check the chat. Yes, that's the one I wanted. Fuck. My hair is fried. Right. Back to StreamYard. Keys to the Kingdom is revolting. Well, as long as you're revolting against the right people, that's all good. Has Rags arrived then? Ah, Carl, welcome aboard. Glad to have you here. We're going to hear about a bit of Midlands history tonight. So thanks very much for coming on. Rags, don't panic too much. We need to check which country it's Mother's Day in. All I'm saying is everybody have a good Sunday. And yeah, I've messed up enough stuff. Uh, Fuck, why does that not surprise me? The YouTube are not as good at putting out notifications as they're supposed to be, but it is what it is. We'll do our best. Anyway, I am going to zoom this in a little because I think it looked a little small. I'm going to move that across. I'm going to move this across. What do I like on StreamYard? Yep, that'll do. Right. So the Midlands Revolt. You can go that little thing. Get a spanner instead. This is from Military Wiki. Another interesting thing. When I went to get information about this, Encyclopedia Britannica, nothing. All the other sites I would normally find history stuff, absolutely fuck all. On the Midlands Revolt, there are academic papers and this. If anybody can find stuff that's not this and that, uh, please let me know. Oh, and yes, there is stuff on Wikipedia, but I would rather not get my info from Wikipedia for various reasons. Anyway, Midland Revolt. The Midland Revolt was a popular uprising which took place in the Midlands of England in 1607, beginning in late April in Hasbleach, Pitchdale, and Rushden in Northamptonshire, and spreading to Warwickshire and Leicestershire throughout May. So this has started off in one place and it just spread across the Midlands. Towns seen what people were doing in one town and they thought, you know what, we want a bit of that. Let's do that too. Riots took place as protests against the enclosure of common land. The riots drew considerable support and were led by Captain Pouch, otherwise known as John Reynolds, a tinker said to be of Desborough, Northamptonshire. He told the protesters he had the authority from the king and the Lord of Heaven to destroy enclosures and promised to protect protesters by the contents of his pouch. Get this bit into your head because it's fucking brilliant. It's brilliant. So he said, which he carried by his side, which he said would keep them from harm. So he's got this pouch, carries with him everywhere, says papers from the king, we're allowed to do this, nobody's going to get any harm. Okay. He urged his followers to use no violence, so he was aiming for a peaceful revolution. Peaceful revolutions are rarely successful, and peaceful revolutions rarely stay peaceful. And if the powers that be wish to stop a revolution before it gets too large, they turn the small peaceful revolution violent in order to take it down before it gets too many people, where if it was to turn violent it would be unstoppable. Anyway, this guy, he had urged his followers to use no violence in their efforts to destroy the hated enclosures. 3,000 protesters were recorded at Hamilton, Warwickshire, and 5,000 at Coastbatch, Leicestershire. A curfew was imposed in the city of Leicester, as it was feared citizens would stream out of the city to join the riots. So they reckon they had this, even the authorities reckon they had the city dwellers on their sides and that they would come out en masse and swell the numbers. A gibbet was erected in Leicester as a warning. However, that was pulled down by the citizens. So those citizens in that area, at least, were able to tell the powers that be, you're not pushing us about. Things came to a head in early June. Over 1,000 protesters had gathered at Northampton near Kettering, Northamptonshire, to protest against the enclosures of Thomas Tysham, pulled down hedges and filling in ditches. So he put in hedges to separate the land or dug ditches, and they went, right, we'll be having those hedges, pulled them out, and they filled in the ditches. King James I issued a proclamation and ordered his deputy lieutenants in Northamptonshire to put down the riots. Women and children were part of the protest. I'm guessing that means that men were also part of the protest. In fact, I'm going to say that the men were probably leading on the focal and the physical aspect of the protest, but somehow women and children need a special mention because potato. Hold on, I want to check the chat. Oh, Emma G seen the Northern Lights from her back garden. Oh, there's sheepdogs. I'm all about you, chum. Right. I don't think there's anything there that I need to get involved with. We're all good. We're going to hide that one and we're going to return. The Treshams, both the family at Newton and their more well known Roman Catholic cousins in nearby Rushton Hall. The family of Francis Tresham, who had been involved in 2 years earlier and who had been involved 2 years earlier in the gunpowder plot and had apparently died at the Tower of London. Right. As I read this, I was beginning to ask why it was important that the Treshams are a Roman Catholic family, and now it all starts to make sense. So, the people who are putting in these barriers and cordoning it all off, uh, some of them were involved with the gunpowder plot. The gunpowder, all right, hold on, I'll read the next bit on. Who were in uproar for their various enclosures of land. Sir Thomas Tresham of Ruston was known as the most odious man in the country. Citation needed. It'd be good if I had one, but we don't. The old Roman Catholic gentry family of the Treshams had long argued with the emerging Puritan gentry family of the Montagans of Boston House about territory. Right, so we've got an argument going on about land between a Protestant family and a Catholic Roman Catholic family. Uh, as we know, because we looked at this and we done this, uh, the gunpowder plot was not an attempt to blow up the Houses of Parliament. It was an attempt to murder the king to install a Roman Catholic king, and it seems that the these acts of burning up the land are in some way connected to trying to get Roman Catholic king back on the crown, at least at this point, because it went on for a very long time, right up till First World War almost. So the reasons for it may have changed, but it seems at least at this point that that's a part of it. Now, Tresham of Newton was enclosing common land, the brand that had been part of Rockingham Forest. Edward Montagu, well, here's the other thing. If it's part of a forest, I think what's happening is they've got a bit of land that they can go into and forage for, use a forest or whatever, and he's turning it into farmland. Now they don't get access to it because it's now farm. I think that is a possibility. Edward Montagu, one of the deputy lieutenants, had spoken against enclosures in Parliament some years earlier, but was now placed by the king in a position effectively of defending the Treshams. Right. So what happens in all countries is if you get a order from the people above you, sometimes it's going to disagree with your personal opinion, but you're in a position where you have to carry out that order anyway. Uh, the local armed bands and militia refused to call up, so the landowners were forced to use their own servants to suppress their adders. Right, so the local armed militia, they would have been the people that lived around the area, and they were like, "Fuck this, we're having nothing to do with it. You want to try to stop this? Go ahead, uh, but we're taking nothing to do with it." Also, word of the wise, I think they might have been on the other side, but we will see. On the 8th, So the landowners were forced to use their own servants to suppress the rioters. On the 8th of June 1607, the royal proclamation was read twice. The rioters continued in their actions, and the gentry and the forces charged. A pitched battle ensued. 40 to 50 were killed, and the leaders of the protest were hanged and quartered. It doesn't say here, but I'm curious as to whether or not they got any actual army support in the action of doing this, or how many fucking servants this person had. Could be if they're large landowner, that meant they had to get they by servants might mean they're land workers as well. At St. Faith's Church in Newton, there is a memorial to the men who were executed. Parish and Susie records have disappeared. The Tresham family declined soon after. The Montague family went on through marriage to become the Dukes of Buckclellan, one of the biggest landowners in Britain. The Newton Rebellion was one of the last times that the peasantry of England and the gentry were in open conflict. But while they were not in pitched battle open conflict, there has been quite a bit of conflict between the working class and the ruling class. Unfortunately, we're not just getting as far with it as I would like. Now, the bubblegum bonus. John Reynolds' pouch was found after he was captured. Remember this pouch that he had that he would brandish to people and say, "I've got the stuff in this pouch. I've got the declaration from the king and from God above that it's perfectly fine for us to tear down these enclosures." And John Reynolds' pouch was found. It was opened. All that was in it was a piece of green cheese. That's it. A bit of green cheese. Although, if you let cheese go get to the right stage of fermented or whatever, you could have the odd hallucination and believe that God was on your side. I'm going to protect you. But anyway, he was hanged. So that's that. And I'm going to have a look at the comments. Yes, I think that would be. Cheese will set you free. Oh, Keys of the Kingdom has class. Thank you. Almac is looking for the Northern Lights. They have been speckled. Carl, you're giving me faith in humanity. As a black country lad, we're taught about this revolt and the common land, free man's revolt that had a few. 1606 started and grew 10 months later. Is this something that you have handed down oral history, or does it get onto the curriculum in school? I'm quite curious about that. Cut off the green, for fuck's sake, it's fine. All Matt likes a bit of green cheese. I do not like any green cheese, definitely not. I'm very fussy about my cheese. I like cheddar or cheddar or cheddar, preferably sliced, and on top of a burger where it's been melted a bit or possibly grated and over or something. There's Crows in. What about you, Sean? Glad to have you. Yeah, so that's the head of my cheese. And as for that fucking cream cheese and stuff, I think they haven't finished making that. I think it's still raw. Right. Now, I'm going to have a quick look at the extent of the enclosures. I get this presented up real quick. Share screen, share screen. Now, I'm not necessarily going to read every word of this because this is taking longer than I thought it would, which is sometimes a good thing. Uh, but if we've got stuff that is very duplicate of what we've just went through, I'm not going to do that. Most of British history, large open fields were divided into scattered strips of land and farmed by peasant cultivators. By the Tudor period, common land was enclosed, hedged or fenced by local pasture. Right. We're going to have a look at the early enclosures. Prior to 1750, when the enclosure by Parliamentary Act became standard practice, substantial transformations were already underway. The earliest enclosures date to the Tudor period of 1485 to 1603 and were driven on the one hand by the desire of the crown to gain support of the noble families. So the noble families were pushing the king for it, and the king was doing it because he needed their support. And on the other, increasing demand for wool. The open field system was the focus of attack. All right, they needed more wool, which means they need more land that sheep can go onto. Uh, so that means they need to squeeze in the farming. As a manor of lords looked to enclose common land and convert it into sheep pastures, wool was the cornerstone of England's export trade and was a highly lucrative enterprise. Strange because I thought the only thing that we ever exported was opium that we don't fucking grow, by the way. So turns out that what we were mainly our largest export was wool. Don't think that destroyed anybody. Early enclosures were informal agreements and were more often not more often than not backed by violence. So we have an informal agreement. You turn up your mob and you say we're going to do this, and they say, "Well, you're not really allowed to do this. You can't do this," and they say, "Well, informally we can do it." And if that means we need to beat the shit out of you first to get the access, we'll do that. But if not, informally, we'll just go ahead and do it. And they went, "You've got the numbers. You can win this one. So work away." At times, closures were created by partition and open fields. In other instances, entire parishes were enclosed with ruthless disregard for the rights of small farmers and the villagers. We've got a picture of people going across a windswept open landscape. The denial of customary rights of pasture and enclosure of common land often led to what historians have called enclosure riots. These riots varied intensely. The local village revolts typically involve small scale actions such as tearing down of enclosure fences and levelling hedges to allow cattle access. Uh, See what's talking about here, the denial of customary rights. There was a whole batch of rights that British people had to access to common land, provided certain requirements were met. One such being there's a bit of common land that people could graze their sheep on, provided that land was walked at least once a year by people. And in order to prove that that had happened, they created the cheese rolling festival. So they were able to go right on X date, the whatever of Jalamber. There was all these people here. They all walked in this land. In fact, we chase cheese down a hill, and here's a record of who was there and who did that. So we get to keep grazing our land here. And that's what these the rights at these enclosures seem to be taken away. However, in some occasions, village disturbances turn into large-scale rebellions, like Kate's Rebellion of 1549, which 1549. So there have been rebellions going on for a while, which culminated in the capture of the city of Norfolk. Similarly, the Midlands Revolt of 1607, the one we're talking about tonight, led by Captain Pouch, began with a mass protest against enclosure, focusing on the destruction of hedges and the filling of ditches. Whether it was a village revolt or a large-scale rebellion, the underlying motivation behind the enclosure riots was to symbolically restore the rural customary rights that greedy landlords had turned upside down. Now, I want you to have a look at this. This is a map of the enclosures in Britain. Now, granted, this does go all the way from 1700 to 1911, but every one of these dots is a bit of land that has been enclosed. People have had their rights taken away for access. People have had their ability to farm it in the way that they traditionally would. They've had all that stripped away at the whim of the government. And whenever you look at the scale of this, it's actually quite impressive how much they've done. And I'm going to be coming back to this because I want you to. There's two takeaways I want from this. The idea of the government restricting access to land is not new. That's the big thing. That's one of the large things. The second takeaway is we rightly hear about the Highland clearances and having people moved off land and stripped farming and all that happened in Scotland during the Highlands. And we also hear about enclosures, land clearances in Ireland. And people are rightly aghast at that too. But in those instances, we hear about how the English did this to the Scottish and how the English did this to the Irish. Nowhere in general parlance do we hear about what the English did to the English. And also by default, we don't hear from the Scottish or from the Irish. This was the norm for the time. It wasn't special treatment for Scots, wasn't special treatment for Irish. This was just how the world was working in the United Kingdom at that time. So maybe don't get too excited about it. And with that, I want to nip back and check the comments. Don't forget about the Blackabite Rebellion. Anglo, here we will be coming to that at some stage and way. I don't know how I'm going to fiddle this together. What I'm actually starting to do at the moment is I'm going to try to do it with the Kings and Queen stream and build up a timeline and then use the stuff that we've got from all of these types of things and put them in and see where they fit in the timeline. Because at the minute, the Blackabite Rebellion is a word I've heard. Not exactly sure what was going on or where it fits in history. Sorry, 1 second. Catterman was a jogger. A few areas of common land in 1606, 1605, an area is called Pascal near Cannock Chase, and the common lands are in Dudley Castle and Astor Hall. So I'm just checking that chat. Charlie Rosin, glad to see you. Yep. We'll hide that comment. and I will continue on. That's not the one I actually wanted. I wanted this. So what I wanted to quickly touch on is enclosure was a bedrock of the Industrial Revolution. So here we go. We've got a picture of the Industrial Revolution was closely intertwined with enclosures and the subsequent revolution in architecture. Accordingly, the remains of the open field system that characterised agriculture in the British Isles for the most of its history that survived the Tudors was relentlessly dismantled by the Parliamentary Enclosures Act. In the 18th century, agriculture was still a large part of the British economy, and the increasingly powerful landowning classes were resolute in their ambition. Land, they believed, should not be allowed to lay idle and must be put to work and used efficiently. In the context of increasing food and wool prices, they looked towards aggressive enclosure, thus armed with the powers of Parliament, and in the name of efficiency and the elimination of idleness, Britain's agricultural revolution got underway. Unsurprisingly, when the government published an 1873 report on land ownership, it revealed that almost all of the top 100 landowners were also members of the House of Lords. Well, see, here's the thing. You have a club called the House of Lords. You can't be a lord unless you own land. You can't get into the House of Lords unless you're a lord. So you've got a club full of important people that are also landowners, and it turns out that uh, where it says top, I might say largest landowners probably, but yeah, turns out landowner members of the Lords. What a shock! Uh, right, controversy still surrounds the Enclosures Act when they were necessary. Were they a necessary step in modernisation of British agriculture and the development of a national economy, or did they represent a ruthless seizure of land and deprivation of the rural poor of the rights of the land? Well, this is an unexpected surprise. As Karl Marx saw it, the enclosures in England amounted to a systematic theft of communal property. He argued that they served two primary purposes: first, to kickstart capitalist agriculture, and second, to set free the agricultural population as a propellant for the needs of industry. But Carl, don't you believe in collective farming? Would collective farming not be your thing? Uh, how different is this to collective farming? Not really. In the realm of literature, romantic poetry lamented the disconnection of the nature brought about by enclosure. Uh, the disproportions of common land and small farms give rise to large cities as a new norm for people living in England. For better or worse, the Enclosure Acts wrought profound transformations in both the British landscape and the culture and composition of society. So, what's happening here is we're going from a mainly rural society to a mainly town city society, and that will bring with it untold amount of changes. It will change your population, will change everything because uh, you'll have a different connection with family. You'll have a different connection, but the sons will become different from their fathers, and the difference between the grandson and the grandfather, and also the difference between the grandmother and the mother, and the mother and the granddaughter and the grandmother. They're going to be they're going to have very different uh, experiences in life. Uh, so that's a change that's going to make. Now, what I want to talk about next, because this is connected, I want to have a quick talk about geoparks. Uh, and try to make this key to the kingdom. Kingdom is right. Get people off the land has always been the aim. Now, on geoparks, why am I? That's it there. I want to see what this looks like on the screen, and it's a little small. Going to zoom this in. Right, geoparks. This is from British Geological Survey. They're going to tell us what geoparks are. UNESCO's global geoparks are areas with internationally important rocks, landscapes, all of which are managed responsibly for conservation, education, sustainable development. Whilst geology may be their foundation, UNESCO Global Geoparks build upon it to bring together other aspects of heritage such as archaeology, culture, biodiversity, all the art. All of this is achieved in collaboration with local people in UNESCO Global Geoparks to make better places to work, live, and visit. At present, there are 195 UNESCO Global Geoparks in 48 countries. This is a worldwide thing, all of which are members of the Global Geoparks Network. The, the GNN is a dynamic network where members work together to share examples of good practice. I wonder would good practice include getting people off that land? Just saying. And join together in common projects. Uh, we contribute to the development of UNESCO's global geoparks through the UK Committee for UNESCO Global Geopark, which is responsible for coordinating geoparks at a national level and the submission of UK candidates for UNESCO Global Geoparks. And we do have one in the Black Country of England. The same areas where I believe this to be the approximate same area where these riots broke out in 1607 because they were losing access to the land. Yet withal, the Black Country UNESCO Global Geopark is in the West Midlands of England and takes parts of Dudley, Stonewall, with Hampshire, home to over 1 million people. It is truly unique in being completely urban geopark, which brings with it a special connection to the area's geological heritage. The Black Country played a major role in the creation of the Industrial Revolution, with industrial minerals such as limestone, ironstone, falkite, coal, all providing the necessary ingredients for this to happen. Now, my point on this is in 1607, the people were not best pleased at, losing access to the land. In 2024, it's celebrated, and we're all quite pleased about that. Now, with that, I'm going to have a quick look in the chat. I hit them with a passion, Robert. Now, uh, so my next bit on geoparks is this. We're going to UNESCO for the definition of a geopark. Uh, One second. This is from UNESCO. That's what they say. UNESCO Global Geoparks are a single unified geographical area where. Hold on. I want to check what it was I wanted on this. Yes, this is a bit that I wanted, and I'm going to zoom this in. Right, I'll check that this is. Yep, it's good enough. Now, this is from UNESCO. So this is themselves telling us what they're up to. What are the aims of UNESCO Global Geopark? A UNESCO Global Geopark has multiple aims, which include the protection and conservation of its territorial geoheritage and the cultural and environmental sustainable development of the area. UNESCO Global. Now, first thing I'm going to take issue with is the geopark is conserving its territorial geoheritage. But the last time I heard, these are not United Nations lands. These are British lands, Australian lands, Canadian lands, French lands, German lands, whatever fucking country that it sits in, that's who owns this, not United Nations. And for those of you that forget, the UN and UNESCO stands for United Nations. United Nations, education, science, conservation, and oh fuck, they're going to wreck us. Anyway, UNESCO Global Geoparks are fundamentally about. I could make this go play. I can do this live. Right. Global geoparks are fundamentally about people and about exploring and celebrating the links between our communities and the earth. The earth has shaped who we are. It has shaped our farming practices, the building materials, and the methods we have used for our homes, even our mythology, folklore, and folk traditions. Then maybe you want to get the fuck away from our traditions and just leave yourselves out of it. UNESCO, please. UNESCO Global Geoparks therefore engage in a range of activities to celebrate these links. Now, let me translate that to you. They find the people who will claim whatever links with hippie mumbo jumbo, and they promote those links and then get the claim that they are working for preservation when in reality they're working for their own fucking ends. Excuse my French. Many global geoparks have strong links to the arts. Because, yes, we didn't need grafters back then, we needed artisans. Please. Arts, they have strong links to the arts communities where the synergy released by bringing science and the arts together can yield surprising results. Yes, it can. It can also get you to fucking snake oil and fake bullshit. But there you go. One of the primary aims is to promote geoscience education within the local communities and make visitors by conveying the importance of geological heritage to students, teachers, local decision makers, and the public board. Now, a UNESCO Global Geopark fosters socio-economic development that is culturally and environmental sustainable directly affecting the area, improving the human living conditions of the rural environment. There's a reason why they make that sentence so long, because they don't want you to think halfway through it. A UNESCO Global Geopark fosters socio-economic development that is culturally and environmentally sustainable. It should stop there, and you should have the opportunity to look at that, along with the fact that they've said they bring in the artists to tell them what to do. So this is how and why they get to decide what can be a business in the place where you live. This is pretty fucking important. It gives local people a sense of pride in their region, strengthens their public identification with the area. Uh, no, it gives local elected politicians the ability to go around and say, we're recognized by UNESCO, we're recognized by UNESCO, without ever thinking if that's a good thing. Because a lot of the time, it's not. The establishment of a UNESCO Global Geopark stimulates the creation of innovative local enterprises, small business, sustainable tourism. Tourism's got to be sustainable. Uh, Activities and businesses, geotrails, a big bit of thing left out here. Where you get in the middle of a sentence a dot dot dot, that means that there's a bunch of stuff left out of here. And I would say what's left out is the bit where they tell you that without their say so, your sheep can't shit in their land, because that's the bottom line of it. And new jobs by generating new sources of revenue, tourism and geo products, while protecting the geo resources, while protecting fucking UNESCO, you lying bastards. So that is UNESCO Geoparks. And what so were way years ago, the public were kicking up against having their rights impeached, were now welcome it. And now I want to do a little bit about sustainable farming, because way back then, whenever they were doing the whenever they were doing these enclosures, they were doing it for sustainable farming. And let's have a look at where we're at with sustainable farming today. And we will hear about this from the government. Yep, I like to use gov.co.uk wherever possible, because then at least you know exactly where it's coming from. Now, just want to check that I'm going to give a little bit of zoomage. This is from the Department of Environment, Rural Food and Rural Affairs, Rural Payment Agency, from the 5th of January. Now, farmers will receive increased payments for protecting and enhancing nature and delivering sustainable food production under the government's environmental land management schemes. DEFRA has announced today, Thursday, 5th of January 2023. Speaking at the Oxford Farming Conference, Farming Minister Mark Spencer announced more money for farmers and landowners through both the countryside stewardship and the Sustainable Farming Initiative schemes, which will provide more support to the industry and drive uptake at a time of rising costs for farmers and the result of global challenges. He also confirmed that an expanded range of actions under the schemes which farmers could be paid for would be published soon. The changes mean that farmers could receive a further £1,000 per year for taking up nature-friendly action through sustainable farming incentives. This new management payment will be made for the first 50 acres of farm. So uh, here's what it is. If you decide not to farm on 50 acres of your farmland, you get £20 an acre. So they're trying to buy the farmers off farming and not using all of their land. And a sustainable farming initiative agreement to cover the administrative costs of participation attract smaller businesses, many of whom are tenant farmers who are currently underrepresented in the scheme. 1 second. Sorry, that's better. Now, 1 second. I want to quickly skim this. Now, meanwhile, capital and annual maintenance payments for the England Woodland Creation Officer and the Tree Health Pilot will also be updated this year, helping to incentivize farmers to incorporate more trees as valuable natural resources on their farms. So basically what they're wanting is 20% of the 10% of the land going to farms on trees, hedges, wildlife, and 10% of the farm going to green energies like solar or wind or some other bullshit. And we have a population that wish to go along with that, as opposed to fighting it the way we did in days of yore. Taken together, these changes will mean more farmers taking individual positive actions such as creating hedgerows and flower-rich grass areas on the edge of fields, putting in hedgerows in the same way that they did during the enclosures. It's the same fucking behaviour, people. It's the same stuff they're doing. And they're trying to get between us and our food. Not to mention the fact that if you go to America and go into a city and give somebody a picture of a cow, a pig, a chicken, and a supermarket and ask them where meat comes from, they're going to tell you a fucking supermarket. Because we have moved that far away from our food that we allow this crap to happen. Taking the these changes will mean more farmers taking individual positive actions such as creating hedgerows, flower-rich grass areas on the edge of fields, and will support farmers and landrovers in making up space for the nature alongside sustainable food production. This will help us meet the UK's legally binding environmental targets to contribute to our aim of halting biodiversity loss by 2030. I might ask, who the fuck gives us these targets? Like, who gets to turn around and say, you've got legally binding targets for biodiversity? Now, here's a better question. See if we don't do it, and it's legally binding, and they take us to court, and they fine us. See the money? What the fuck do the bees do with it? How does it help the life of the bees for them to have that money? Honestly. Because I've seen bees flying around discarded coins and it don't seem to do them any good. I've seen fucking I've seen dogs eat £5 notes. Do you know what? It shits it out in the exact same fucking state that it went down on, unless ripped it apart or something. But yeah, animals don't seem to need the money. wildlife doesn't seem to need the money. So what happens with the fines? And with that, my rant on this is done. And there you go. Now, I do think that we will come back to this subject and it will fit in with other things. But that's pretty much my take as of now on the riots of 1607. And I want to check through the chat. Get back the grindstone, you view and debt repay, you do indeed. Chris Rosen is liking it. Good, thank you. Boss is telling people to wake up. This is exactly it. They pay them next to nothing to plant young trees and to take away the fucking old ones. At least Sir Mark Spencer was actually a farmer, unlike most of our ministers who know absolutely nothing about the rules in government. Yeah, I'm guessing the reason that he's that he's not a minister for farming because he knows about farm. I'm thinking that he was trying to do too much sensible stuff. Amanda, you're welcome at any stage. Thanks for dropping in. It is indeed how herds get slaughtered. Following the one in front. Right. So there we go. And I think at that juncture, we do need a little bit of a musical interlude. And I will find that in the form of I think a little bit of a sea shanty. I'm not quite going for the seal shanty this week. Right, hold on. I'm just looking one up that I know is good. Sorry. Crap. Sorry, 1 second. Right. Yep. Here we go. Oh, we've got to get 3 fucking advertisements now. This is fucking great. Just great. Just fucking great. One momento. And you'll be like, whenever we actually get this, you're like, all that fucking fuss and wait for that. I'm now belliced up and went back to fucking adverts and all sorts of shit. It's just not good. It's not my day, but we'll get there. Uh, one
shows were
momento.
like this, you wouldn't need airwaves. But
yeah, totally
they're
fucked that
not.
up. I thought I was about to be able to skip.
So get a mental kick that goes straight to your head.
And then what will happen next is I'll leave this fucking with the sound off during the fucking show. Right, here we go. Can you tell that I actually need to get to the toilet? And that might be having a detrimental effect.
Sally Brown, she's a nice young lady. Way, hey, we roll and go. all night and we roll all day. Spend our money on Sally Brown. Ah, Sally Brown, she's a bright mulatto. Hey, hey, we roll and go. Well, she drinks dark rum and she chews tobacco. Hey, hey, we roll and go. And we roll all night and we roll all day. Spend our money on Sally Brown. Well, her father likes a tarry sailor. Hey, hey, we roll and go. And we roll all night and we roll all day. Spend our money on Sally Brown. Ah, Sally Brown, she likes a good scrumpy. Way, hey, we roll and go. Ah, she likes a bit of the rumpy pumpy. Way, hey, we roll and go. And we roll all night and we roll all day. Spend our money on Sally Brown. Ah, Sally Brown, she's a nice young lady. Way, hey, we roll and go. Yes, Sally Brown, she's a fine young lady. Way, hey, we roll and go. And we roll all night and we roll all day. Spend our money on Sally Brown. And we roll all night and we roll all day. Spend our money on Sally Brown.
There we go. Love Scrumpy and Pumpy. Sally sounds like a good sort. Yes. Well, I like a bit of it. I do like a sea shanty. Nobody asked these green nutters what will be done with the wind turbines that break down and pile up. Well, Carl, interestingly, the blades that can't be recycled or used for anything else. The last I heard, somebody had come up with a great idea to turn them into sweets. Yes, the best way I can say it that you are all going to be able to understand it would be chewy sweets for children, because that's got to be fucking a great raw ingredient for food. Used wind turbine blade, but fuck knows with these people. I don't know what everything is coming to. Yeah, I do think that our knickers do smell a bit funky. Yes, they are. They are carbon fiber, but somebody fucking figured out a way to make sweets out of them, and given that Al Mac is a bit surprised by that, I've now got a potential story for the last Saturday of the month. Ha! Because we need weird stories for that show. Oh, yes, we do. Although I don't think sweets from Blades is quite as good as Al's steak from shit. One that he got brought us last time around. While I'm on that subject, if anybody wants to come on for a guest slot on the last Saturday of the month show, the format, along with myself and Sansom, the format is pretty simple. Find yourself the strangest, weirdest, vilest news story that you can. Bring that with you. I'll find one likewise. Sansom will find one likewise, and we will discuss it. Yep. Oh yes, all with the carbon fiber guitars. Yes, the poop stakes. So if anybody wants to be considered, wants to get involved with that on that guest slot, send me an email. I will be sending emails to people to invite them on. But if you haven't had an email to invite you and you want to get on, please get in touch. Also be advised, because that show happens once a month. You may be maybe a couple of months before between your email and you coming on, but there you go. That's that. Anyway, Spanish chickens and the commando beavers. Have you been hanging about the Waffle House for all this beaver talk? Right. What else do I want to talk about? We have a bit of a don't read the chat. I'll try not to. Although I do feel like if you've made the effort to come along and interact with me, I really ought to interact back at least some of the time. And also, this show would be a lot more boring to do if I was doing it to a empty house. So, uh, I'm trying. Spanish of chickens. I'm trying to get it right. Nah. What are we on? I think we're going to go to Fide. It's what we're going to go to now. Because we had an anniversary of Fide, and I'm a bit conscious of the time, I'm going to bounce to that. I need to have a little look and see how this is looking on the thing. I think that we will zoom you in just a little. That's looking very good here. Yep. And this is from the Imperial War Museum. No, we're not mentioning the mud flood, but I do need to get in touch with ARPA because we have the anniversary of the. Can you hear any commotion? Is it coming through the chat? Eyes wide shut. What about you? 1 second. I'm going to close my window because there's a bit of noise going on out in the street. Only dogs? Well, yeah, I can hear it. Right, I've got it knocked off. There was a band parade in this area this evening. The Proddy Boys right for their annual band parade. So it's now walk home from pub. Yeah. Pubs turning out and because the bands were out, the pubs are a little more full than normal. Right, here we go. Fee Day. And why we're doing it because that Fee Day was indeed May the 8th. 1 second, I need to get liquid into me. May the 8th, 1945 was a date remained in the memory of all those who witnessed it. It means an end to nearly 6 years of war that had cost the lives of millions, had destroyed homes, families, and cities, and had brought huge suffering and deprivations to the populations of entire countries. Millions of people rejoiced in the news that Germany had surrendered, relieved that the intense strain of total war was finally over. In towns and cities across the world, people marked victory with street parties, dancing, and singing. I'm going to actually do a bit of checking out and see that the VE Day street parties happen on VE Day because those street parties took a bit of organising, and for them to have the street parties, they would have Although I'm guessing they were probably negotiating it for a bit of a while. So they were able to say, we're going to do it in such and such a date. Well, sorry, thinking out loud. But it was not the end of the conflict, nor the end to the impact the war had on the people. The war against Japan did not end until August 45, and the political, social, and economic repercussions of the Second World War were felt long after Germany and Japan surrendered. Yeah, and there was rationing for quite a while in the United Kingdom after that. So, important facts about the day. With Berlin surrounded, Adolf Hitler committed suicide on 30th April 1945. Apparently, allegedly, his named successor was Grand Admiral Karl Deutz. During his brief spell as Germany's president, Deutz negotiated an end to the war with the Allies while seeking to save as many Germans as possible from falling into Soviet hands. A German delegation arrived at the headquarters of British Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery at Lüneburg Heath, east of Hamburg, on the 4th of May. There, Montgomery accepted the unconditional surrender of the German forces in the Netherlands, northwest Germany of Denmark, on the 7th of May at his headquarters in Reims, France. Supreme Allied Commander General Eisenhower accepted the unconditional surrender of all German forces. The document of surrender was signed on behalf of Germany by General Alfred Jody and came into effect the following day. Soviet leader Joseph Stalin wanted his own ceremony at Berlin on 8th of May. Therefore, a further document was signed, this time by German Field Marshal William Kettle. Dunnett's plan was partially successful, and millions of German soldiers surrendered to Allied forces, escaping the Soviet capture. So, while they were negotiating this, the British, French, and Americans did have an actual lever on the Germans that were negotiating, and that were where the prisoners would surrender to, because in this case it was a point of who they were surrendering to, not if they were surrendering. The news of Germany's surrender was not surprising. It had been anticipated for some time, and people across Britain were on standby to start celebrating. An announcement that the war had ended in Europe was broadcast to the British people over the radio late in the day on 7th of May. The BBC interrupted its scheduled programming with a news flash announcing the Victory in Europe Day would be a national holiday to take place the following day. Newspapers ran headlines as soon as they could, and special editions were printed to carry the long-awaited announcement. So I'm guessing what has happened with street parties is people have been gathering up the stuff that they wouldn't needed for to actually have the party, give the kids something special, get them out in those big, get all the tables together and put up their banners and whatnot. So I think they've had that all right a row, just waiting for the announcement. It's go time. Newspapers ran the headlines as soon as they could, and special editions were printed to carry along the weighted announcement. The news that the war was over in Europe soon spread like wildfire across the world. Here's a nice picture of nice happy people having a bit of a celebration. Although, whenever I look at that picture a bit closer, it looks to me like there's a lot of fucking heads have been stuck on the bodies there. But who knows? Many people in Britain didn't wait for the official day of celebration and began festivities as soon as they heard the news on 7th of May. After years of wartime restrictions and dangers, and from food and clothes rationing to blackouts and bombing raids, it was understandable how eager they were to finally be able to let loose and enjoy themselves. Colourful buntings and flags soon lined the streets of villages, towns, and cities across Britain. On the eve of VE Day, bonfires were lit, people danced, and the pubs were full of revellers. Sounds all very good. A national holiday was declared in Britain for 8th of May 1945. In the morning, Churchill had gained assurances from the Ministry of Food that there was enough beer supplies in the capital. Yes, Churchill, good man, straight in. Do we have enough beer? We've got beer. Do you want to know about? No. Do we have enough beer? Make sure these people can have beer. That's very important. There were enough beer supplies in the capital, and the Board of Trade announced that people could purchase red, white, and blue bunting without using ration coupons. That's right, because material was rationed, cloth was rationed. So they said, right, you don't have to give up next week's treasures to get yourself a bit of bunting. There was even commemorative items hastily produced in time for celebrations, including VE Day mugs. Some restaurants had special victory menus too. Various events were organised to mark the occasion, including parades, Thanksgiving services, and street parties. Communities came together to share the moment. London St Paul Cathedral held 10 consecutive services, giving thanks for peace, each one attended by thousands of people. Due to the time difference, VE Day in New Zealand was officially held on 9th of May. The country's leadership wanted to delay the national holiday until peace in Europe had been announced. That's actually quite that's quite the gesture. So we're going to tell you that we're at peace, but we're not doing anything official until Europe's at peace too. We're not going to party until you are officially in the clear. The country's leadership wanted to delay the national holiday until New Zealanders therefore had to go to work on the 8th of May and wait until the following day to celebrate. But I bet those Kiwis fucking party twice as hard. In the Soviet Union too, VE Day was on 9th of May due to the differing time zones. Churchill addressed the nation. Winston Churchill was a man of the hour on VE Day. Britain's Prime Minister had been a major driving force behind the Allies' victory over Nazi Germany, and now peace had come. The British people were keen to celebrate it with him. At 3 p.m. on VE Day, Churchill made a national radio broadcast. In it, he announced the welcome news that the war had ended in Europe. But he included a note of caution saying, "We may allow ourselves a brief period of rejoicing, but let us not forget for a moment the toil and efforts that lie ahead." He knew that the war was not over. Japan still had to be defeated. Later on, Churchill appeared on the balcony of the Ministry of Health building in central London, and gave an impromptu speech. Huge cheering crowds gathered below, and he declared, "This is your victory." The crowd shouted back, "No, it's yours." Despite Churchill's crucial wartime role, the British public did not vote him back into power in the July 1945 general election. Instead, Clement Attlee's Labour government had control of the country for the immediate post-war years. For Churchill, nothing would match his period as a wartime Prime Minister. He later wrote that everything afterwards was all an anticlimax. You would think so. I'm going to check the comments. Beer and cheese. That's debatable. I don't know who the fuck won it. What I will say is Yeah, at least we're not speaking. Yeah. Nah, what I want to say amongst all of that, because I have a few opinions about this. Strangely enough, who would have fucking thunk it? 42's got an opinion or two. Uh, 1 second, I need to cough. Uh, well, there's a lot of questions to be asked and answered about World War Two. Should we have been involved in it? Should we not? Who started it? All that stuff. But here's my take on this and FED. You've got an overwhelming outpour of national happiness, for want of a better word, because their soldiers, their men, their family are all going to be coming home. And children haven't seen their father for 4 years. In some case, some children that never got to see their father because they were an airman and the child was born and then he got shot down over Germany, parachuted down, got put in the prison camp and stayed there till the end of the war. It's it was still an amazing day for everybody in this country, regardless of the rights and wrongs of the war itself. My thoughts about this are about those families not necessarily being physically reunited, but the knowledge that they're going to be. Right. Uh, royal family. The royal family took part in the celebrations. The British royal family also played a central role in London's victory celebrations. Huge numbers of people surged down the Mall to Buckingham Palace, where King George the Sixth, Queen Elizabeth, and their daughters, Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret, soon appeared in the balcony too, to wave to the cheering crowds. In total, the King and Queen made 8 appearances on the balcony, and at one point were joined by Winston Churchill. While the King and Queen were waving to the crowds for the last time that evening, their daughters were secretly mingling with the jubilant crowds below them. So the Elizabeth and Margaret, they stuck their uniforms on. Both of those served during World War II, and they went down and got themselves mixed in with the crowds with the uniform on and scarves pulled around them. The future monarch, Princess Elizabeth, and her sister had been allowed to leave the palace and take part anonymously in the party-like atmosphere. Princess Elizabeth later recalled, "We stood outside and shouted, 'We want the king.' I think it was one of the most memorable nights of my life." King George VI, like Churchill, also gave a radio address. In it, he praised his subjects' endurance and called for the lasting peace. He also paid tribute to those who could not join in the celebration, saying, "Let us remember those who will not come home, will not come back. Let us remember the men in all the services and the women in all the services who have laid down their lives. We have come to the end of our tribulation, and they are not with us at the moment of our rejoicing." Uh, so what else happened? There was dancing in the streets long before David Bowie was singing about it. The VE Day celebrations continued well into the night. The largest crowds in Britain were in the capital, always are, but people all around the country took part in the parties, singing and dancing. Many bonfires and fireworks were lit to mark the occasion. The first time they've had a light in the night sky for years. An estimated 50,000 people were crowded around Piccadilly Circus by midnight. The joy of the day broke down normal social conventions, and people spoke to and embraced those whom they had never met before. Music was provided by gramophones, accordions, barrel organs, and revelers sang and danced to the popular tunes of the day. Licensing hours were extended so that people could toast the end of the war with a drink or two, or fucking 22, and dance hall stayed open until midnight. Fuck. Now, there's a thing. We're talking about a world where until midnight was late. As we said at a quarter past midnight, having a political, cultural discussion that we do on the regular. That's another way in which we have changed the society a lot from then. Victory in Europe was marked around the world. The news that the war was over in Europe quickly spread around the world, and people of British Empire and the Allied countries wanted to celebrate the defeat of Nazi Germany. In the United States of America, the victory was tempered by the recent death of President Roosevelt, who had led his country through the war years. Also made his country quite a shitload of money through the Lend-Lease Act, by the way. His successor, Harry S. Truman, dedicated the day to Roosevelt and ordered that the flags be kept at half-mast as part of the 30-day mourning period. Despite this, there were still scenes of great rejoicing in America. In New York, 15,000 police were mobilized to control huge crowds that massed in Times Square. In Australia, celebrations were tinged with a somber mood. The war in the Far East and Pacific. 1 second, people. In Australia, the celebrations were also tinged with somber mood. The war in the Far East and Pacific was still being fought, and many Australians were serving overseas. Yes, a lot of Aussies went to the Japanese conflict. But there were scenes of rejoicing in many cities, and services were held in churches around the country to give thanks of the ending of the war in Europe. In Paris, huge numbers of people flocked to the centre of the city to celebrate. An eyewitness recalled, on the Champs-Elysees, they were singing, "It's a long way to Tipperary." And that is strange. And it is quite the way to Tipperary from there. In the Place de Concorde to the Arc de Triomphe in the Eiffel Tower, I'm going to guess, there was hardly any place to breathe and no place to move at all. The charged atmosphere and the large crowds could lead to unrest. In Halifax, Canada, riots broke out amongst the large concentration of military personnel stationed there. Thousands of soldiers and sailors and civilians looted liquor stores, which had been closed for the VE Day holiday. Oh, fuck. No. We've got a day off. Everybody's got a day off. Get down to the fucking liquor shop. Get the drink in. They're on fucking holiday. You can't get your drink. Oh, that will cause a riot every fucking time. Every fucking time. You can separate people from their toilet roll. We've seen that happen during COVID. You can separate people from their rice. We've seen that during COVID. You can separate people from their pasta. We've seen that during COVID. People will figure it out. They'll work around it. But separate them from their drink and things is going to get bad. And the resulting riots and vandalism resulted in several deaths. Now, not everyone celebrated VE Day. For those who had lost loved ones in the conflict, it was a time to reflect. Amidst the street parties and rejoicing, many people mourned the death of a friend or a relative, or worried about those who were still serving overseas. And at this point, there's still a lot of people that have relatives fathers, brothers, sons, husbands, in camps, particularly in the Japanese end of it, that they believe are dead because they didn't always get the word through that the person was in a camp. So there's a lot of people who are having a very bad day. For many of the widows, the war had produced the noise and jubilation as people celebrated Fiat was too much to bear and not something they could take part in. There was also an air of anticlimax. The hardships of the warriors had taken their toll on many people and left them with little energy for rejoicing. In Britain, the strain of the air rage, the the structures of wartime life, and the impact on rationing all left their mark on a weary population who knew there was more difficulties yet to endure, because it's going to be quite a few years before rationing goes away. It's not like you're turning a switch and everything's back to normal. It's going to take a while for the army to actually return. Then them to get demobbed, go back into civilian life. You're going to have issues with the civilian jobs all shuffling about. You have a hell of a lot of women who entered industry for wartime production, and we don't need that wartime production anymore. We don't need particularly the ammunition end of it. That's all taking a fucking massive dump. The work isn't there, and it's going to be hard for a while. For members of the Allied forces who were still serving overseas in VE Day, the occasion was bittersweet. Although it meant victory in one theatre, the war was not yet over in the Far East and Pacific. The battle conditions had been some of the toughest of the war. In May 1945, thousands of Allied servicemen were still fighting in the Far East, and thousands more were held prisoners of war in terrible conditions. The final months of the war in the Pacific saw heavy casualties on both sides, but ultimately ended in victory for the Allies. Japan's leaders agreed to surrender on 14th of August, and the Act of Surrender was signed on 2nd September. For people in Britain, the end of the fighting didn't mean the end to the impact of the war in their lives. Although many things slowly returned to normal, it took time to rebuild the country, and shortages were still felt. Clothes rationing lasted until 1949, and food rationing remained in place until 1954. Peace brought its own problems. The huge economic cost of the war resulted in post-war austerity, and particularly bankrupt Britain, and the far-reaching political efforts of the conflict ranged from the fall of the British Empire to the onset of the Cold War. So there you go. There's my take on VE Day. And like I said earlier, for me, VE Day and that type of thing, it's about the hope that you're getting of being reunited with your family, your family members being safe, and all of that. If you'd asked me whenever I was 16, I would have told you we definitely did everything 100% right during World War II. But I'm no longer 16, and some of my opinions have changed, which will happen if you actually grow and mature. But my thing would be about the families being reunited. And with that, I'm going to have a look through the chat. It's amazing how many men there were actually still in the mainland. Sorry, I'm just checking through the chat. Yeah. And your little fella, he was a 17-year-old in 1942. His job was to sweep up the condoms after the night shift at BSA in Birmingham. Yeah, no doubt that did happen. Link for Sally Brown. I will get you one of those right now. I have a better question. If we have a war now, who the fuck's going to fight it? Because I've had a good look at the 17 and 18-year-olds we're producing, and they are not going to do very good going to the war. They are not. Nah. What I'm going to do, I'm going to get that link for Sally Brown. Right. Here we go. Be advised, this link might not be the exact same version of Sally Brown I played before, because that was from a compilation. But I do know this one, and it is good. Now, if you want the Sally Brown, it's on there. And with that, I am going to get myself an outro up and bid you all good night. And thank you for coming and sharing this stream with me. Here we go. Present. Want a video file? I think we're going to go with first of all, we're going to, all right, I know where we'll find it. Let's see. Yep. Eat the Bugs. This is 42 speaking. Well, just get this back to the start. It comes up really quick. After Sally Brown, YouTube recommended Rolling Stone. She's too cool. Perfect. Right. Yes, this is a track with myself and Justice Kane called Eat the Bugs. If you want the album, you'll find it on Spotify. You'll find it on iTunes. I think it's $7.99. The album's fucking excellent. I love it. I was listening to it earlier on. I always get a bit caught out because I'm just feel like I'm chilling out listening to music, and then all of a sudden my voice is there, which is weird as fuck. Al Mac, forever in your debt for making my voice sound good. But here's tonight's outro to go along with the bit that we had about land conservation, geoparks and stuff. This is Eat the Bugs. Hello, this is 42 speaking. Welcome to the Resistance. Oh shit, man. Eat the bugs? You got me wrong. You got me so wrong. You ever seen a cave drawing of somebody with a spear hunting a mosquito? Well, me either. We eat meat and we have choices. You cook the hedgehog right? It tastes like chicken. Fucking chicken. I ain't eating your bugs. I ain't eating your bugs. I started off with nothing and I'm never going back. I'm not getting on your progressive track. With Agenda 2030, I refuse to engage. I can see where it is going and it's just another cage. I've got hedgehog, I've got rabbit, I've got wild hog. Fuck it, I could even move to Alaska and get me a nice caribou. Fuck it, I'm not eating your bugs. They're trying to take away what I fought so hard to get, so I'm going to say no to your cattle country. Eat the bugs, live in some communal pod with no fucking privacy. Oh, nothing and be happy. I've seen the people with nothing and they don't look happy. Eat the bugs, live in some communal pod with no fucking privacy. Oh, nothing and be happy. I'm not eating your bugs. Fuck it. Fuck it. I'm not eating your bugs. Fuck it. I'm not eating your bugs. Fuck it. Fuck it. Oh shit, man, you got me wrong. You got me so fucking wrong. There are millions of us in the UK, billions worldwide, unvaccinated, striding out into our third winter of death with not a care in the world. Eating pig, eating cow, eating chicken, and we will not conform. Fuck it, I'm not eating your bugs. Hey, Klaus Wall, this is 42, and I want the word with you, motherfucker.
This is the fourth industrial revolution. We have a window of opportunity for the great reset. Technology is a critical weapon. History is truly at a turning point. We can shape a better world, and we will reglobalize to make it a better place. So will all learn, and so will we act, and so will eat the bugs.
Why we got me talking? Why is United Nations in charge of Stonehenge? Keeping me away from the stones? That's not world heritage, that's British heritage. You're getting to a point where the people just want to be left alone and going to get involved. Tell me again, why is United Nations running Stonehenge? Fuck it. Stonehenge museum's a fucking Perry mountain range now owned by UNESCO, so you and I can never go. Fuck your 15-minute cities and your Internet of Things. We are going back to nature, see what that life brings. We had a good look at the bombing we did, so we hook up with the Woodlander and take our shit off grid. Fuck it. We hook up with the Woodlander and take our shit off grid. Fuck it. We'll hook up with the Woodlander and take our shit off grid.
This is 42 speaking. Welcome to the Resistance.
Fuck it. Okay, everybody. I've been 42. You lot in the chat have as always been fucking amazing. Good night. God bless. Thank you so much and see you all next week. I'm out of here. Goodbye.